Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We're here today with Mr. Grayham Forscutt. How are you doing, Grayham?
Good, good. Thanks. It's a little bit colder than normal, but I'm okay. As long as the rain doesn't get too heavy, we'll be okay. Won't hear it.
Good. Yes, right now your sound is coming through very clear, and I'm so excited because you let me know that we're in a very big portal today, tomorrow, and yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So thank you for coming on to share about it with everybody. So could you let us know a little bit about it before we get started on the PowerPoints?
Sure, sure. So it's a big picture, but that big picture is we can resonate with it right here, right now. You know, in the realm of physics, they already have proven two locations can interact in real time over any distance. So what we're going to look at today is in the astro world, in the world of astronomy or cosmology. Astronomers have known, and they've known this for a few decades now, that there is a location out there in the universe, a huge cluster of galaxies that is incredibly coherent in the way that it operates, and they've proven this. Whereas many large clusters of galaxies are kind of random; they're all over the place. Well, this one is the most coherent location in the known universe, and it is known to attract and hold in orbit other mega clusters of galaxies. So they know this by the direction of the clusters of galaxies, the sort of common direction that they're flowing in. And they know that some of them on the far side of this location and this side, this includes Laniakea, one of the local clusters that we're in ourselves, our Milky Way. So the this point, although it's large if you get close to it, this point is known as the strongest magnetic attracting location in the known universe. And our Milky Way is just one of countless galaxies that are held in orbit, just like planets going around the sun, are held in orbit, rotating around this central location. So that's the astrophysics of it. But there is also the spiritual side of it and the traditions in the past. They've talked about it as being a central spiritual sun, a location which was the original mother, the original birthing location for what we see out there in the universe. So incredibly potent in that sense, but also the two locations can interact in real time over any distance. We've got the actual physics of that on our website and go deeply into that. We get 100% accuracy in what they call the theory of everything, which is a number of people are out there these days, some very precise, some perhaps not so good. So they're trying to identify and bring forward a simple formula, a simple way of defining just about everything that's going on energetically in the universe. And I've piled all my information in there and all my modeling that I've been doing for the last 40 odd years. And the feedback using certain parameters gets 100% accuracy. So we're pretty happy about that. We'll be writing it all up in a book in the future.
Ooh, that's exciting now to come back on and talk about your book with us. But yeah, just reading a little bit of your writing that you sent me, I was like, wow, this is like brand new information. Like it's going to take me time to understand it. But especially the other topic you were going to talk about today, I'm not going to mention it, but wow, that's going to be like really interesting and how you plugged it in and it kind of all made sense with everything you've been researching like your whole life, right?
That's right. Yeah. I'm not very good at writing, but when I use the AI and give it specific instructions, it actually feeds back to me what's in my head and writes it all out clearly. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah. Like a great organization tool, I find AI is like a good organization tool, right? Like could get all our ideas and kind of makes lists and can do things. So that's wonderful. So
Very good.
yeah. Um, should we pull up the PowerPoints so people
Yeah,
can
and then
see what you're talking
then we
about?
can have a
Yeah.
chat afterwards.
Let me give you, let me make sure that there's sharing ability and all that. Okay,
Okay.
there we go. I think that
Okay.
should be good now. I'm trying to pull it up.
Okay. I think I've got my end up okay.
Excellent.
Okay. So there's about six or eight images here, and each one will kind of hopefully clarify what we're talking about as far as this. It's called Shapley supercluster. That's the name, discovered by a guy called Harold Shapley. It was a while ago, but they hadn't yet identified it as being this kind of magnetic attractor.
Mhm.
So I've been working with this for a few decades, and what we see today, this is the chart here for today. The symbols here, planets, some special case planetoids, and so on. But yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So here's the Earth down here, and looking from the Earth through the sun in the middle there. If we draw a straight line out in this direction, we end up aligning to or aiming at what they call the center of the Shapley supercluster. So this kind of bluish with the white parameter here, this would be the whole supercluster. And then there's right here, right in the center of it, it's called Shapley 8 there. And
Mhm.
that's about 2 to 3 degrees of tropical Scorpio. So in the realm of Cosmo-Genetic family tree, which I've got here, what I've been doing over the decades is, as soon as I find an astro location like this, I drop the decagon with the center on it, because we know that in previous discussions that the cross section of the DNA helix is a decagon. So I drop the decagon on there, and we see now we're probably not looking at it exactly, in plan view, in face view. It's probably tilted a little bit in the way that we see it from here where we are in our little galaxy. So I put the decagon there, and then I line it up, and we've got a number of arms of the decagon
Mhm.
which come out just simply overlaid in this astro photograph here. And we've got what, five or something, or six of the arms of the decagon. So we see here, oh yeah, this is why the astronomers are saying that even though some of the other superclusters are larger, they're not as coherent. They're not birthing locations. They don't have DNA geometry. So this is the furthest, although there are clusters and galaxies on the far side, this is the furthest as far as coherency goes. So we need to identify what I mean by that. So down here on this side, where my mouse is, I've got bigger pictures of this coming up. So I've put you'll see a number of decagons on here. So from our location, the Milky Way, what we're doing here is we could either say we're looking backwards through time, or we're looking inwards towards the center of the universe. So you could sort of see it in different ways. But some of these decagons here are positioned on the center of, first off, up here, for example, this is the center of our own local group of galaxies.
Mhm.
We've got a decagon centered there, and we can see it's a little bit hard to see. I've got a bigger one coming. The other galaxies in our own cluster are actually have birth on the nose of the decagon on these lines here. But then this whole cluster, uh, called Virgo A, that we're a part of, then that, when we go further away, and I drop a decagon on the center of what they call the Laniakea, the local supercluster that we're part of. So I drop a decagon on there, and sure enough, it's a bit hard to see, but the angles from this photograph, the lines here, this is where what they call walls of clusters of galaxies are forming along these walls. And then we look back behind that, further away, and we get to this. Of course, this is the same as this one here. So we're looking inwards, or we're looking back through time towards the original point, or the original location in the galaxy. And then this shape's called a dodecahedron. Cosmotopologists will tell us that the shape of the universe itself is this dodecahedron. So as soon as I realized this, like 30 years ago, when it first came out, well, I wanted to know where the center of it was. That's the important thing to me. So at the center of the universe, that's where we're looking at here. So we could translocate or transport this point here, this bit here, we could pop it in there, and right at the center there, that would be Shapley 8, the center of the Shapley supercluster, which, as we go back to here, yesterday and today and tomorrow, there's an actual kind of, as far as we're concerned on our Earth here, there's an alignment. We could do a straight, we could get the telescope and look through the sun. So at midnight or at midday, we would look from the Earth through the sun. We'd actually line up there
Wow.
exactly with Shapley 8.
That's amazing. And you're saying that's the original point that life started, basically.
Well, I'm saying that, but also astrophysicists are
Mm,
saying that that is the strongest magnetic attractor. That's a heart, magnetic attractor. That's what a heart is.
mhm.
So it's the strongest magnetic location in the known universe. And they know that clusters of galaxies are held in orbit by their direction, the groups of galaxies, the directions that those galaxies are flowing in, they're orbiting around this point, just like planets are around the sun.
Wow, that's amazing. I can feel it when you say it, like kind of feeling the heart of the universe and then feeling galaxies moving around it. It's like, whoa, what a massive like energetic structure that's you're saying being held together by a magnetic field in the center of this is a sun, right? It's like a giant,
Well,
what is it exactly? Yeah.
the closer you get in there,
Hmm.
you've got groups of galaxies, just like we're talking about our group over here called Virgo A, where Andromeda Galaxy is and a few others. Right in the center here, we've got a few clusters of galaxies. Then you get magnified even more, and you get down to just one cluster of galaxies, and then you magnify it more and more right in the center there, and you've got just one galaxy. ESO 444-47 is the singular galaxy. It's huge. It's right in the center. And then astronomers know that right at the center of that galaxy is a massive black hole, which is really not a black hole, it's a portal.
Mm.
So it's a Stargate portal. So the closer in you get to the center, you magnify more and more, and you get to the like a black hole isn't it's not a disappearance of energy, it's a circulation, like the Ouroboros snake biting its own tail. So it's a circulation
Mm.
uh, dynamic through a torus that's going on there, and that's how, well, that's where the everything we see in the universe sort of originates from that flow through that central point there.
Oh wow. So the energy kind of moving in a torus shape, which is kind of like a donut. You've taught us before. The energy is
Yeah.
kind of going like this, and that's what a black hole is actually doing. And you're saying that becomes a stargate. And
Well, yeah, and a Stargate in the sense that if we go to the next
let's
bit
do
here,
it.
I'll
Yeah,
explain.
let's go to the next
Okay,
one.
so this is not an image. This is just me clipping
Hmm.
what astronomers say, but I'll read it. The Shapley supercluster central region, particularly Shapley 8 and Abell 358, which is the central galaxy there, stands out as a unique gravitational attractor. So gravitation, that's what Dan Winter and people are calling the flow of love. That's what love really is. It's the attracting force towards the center, towards the heart. When people are drawn towards us due to our compassion and empathy. So at the center of the cluster, this Abell 3508, that's the gravitational attractor, the gravitational heart of the known universe. So this is astronomy saying this. Due to extreme coherence. Well, coherence is another name for golden ratio fractality. Again, our heart is based on the geometry or the harmonics of the golden ratio. And this is across multiple studies there. Unlike, oh, as it goes on, unlike other megastructures, Shapley's core, the dynamics that are going on there, the dispersion of the energies there, etc. It holds, as it says there, it holds the great attractor, which is at the center of Laniakea, in our own local supercluster, the Virgo 8 there. And no other megastructure matches this combination of mass, low dispersion, and influence, making Shapley 8 a cosmic magnet. And this is what astronomers are saying. And then the second bit down here. So what has also been discovered at the center of Shapley 8 there is that there's massive amount of what they call radio frequencies being pumped out from the center there. Well, radio frequencies can also be the initial impulse for what in metaphysics are called longitudinal scalar waves. Now, it's longitudinal scalar waves which physics loosely call quantum entanglement. So longitudinal scalar waves based on phi recursiveness. I've got a picture coming up, an image coming up. That's what we start at light speed, and we see light speed. We see a star or something out there in the sky, but that's the slowest, in a sense. That's the slowest of these scaling waves, these longitudinal waves. So from the speed of light, we go down in scale, in size by golden ratios, and each scale we go down, it gets faster, is faster and faster than the threshold of the speed of light. So eventually the scaling down in size arrives at our eye instantaneously. And science calls that quantum entanglement. Two locations interact in real time over any distance. So from the Shapley core there, the most coherent location in the known universe, the radio frequencies, massive radio frequencies, are pumping out scalar waves, longitudinal scalar waves, and they reach us here in real time. So even though we're lining up with, back here, we're lining up with Shapley here in the sky, we can have a real-time interaction. If we know what we're doing, if we identify the destination coordinates, we can make a real-time connection, a real-time interaction. In the spiritual traditions, this was called the heart of the central spiritual sun. So I'm going to hold on, mine slipped. Oh, okay, we had a blip there. So here we are in this next glyph here, and I'll put this symbolic, or at least it's from the movie Stargate. Here we've got the 10 dial-up nodes of the Stargate to link into your destination, and we've got the Shapley here in the middle with the decagon there. So this is sort of how it works. And I'll put here Shapley 8, if you can see that, and CIA. So why have I put CIA? Because we know that means Central Intelligence Agency. So over here, we've got the alphanumerics. We've looked at this before. Well, we're going to start with this one over this side. Here we are, the A1Z26, just a simple number for each letter of the alphabet. So when I work out the alphanumerics using A1Z26, the Shapley 8 attractor, which is what astrophysics call it, the grand total of Shapley 8 attractor equals 243 in this simple alphanumerics. So also at 243, Central Intelligence Agency. So we're not talking about the US CIA, we're talking about the Central Intelligence Agency itself, the central point of the universe. And other phrases down here come from, different cultures in their spiritual teachings. So we have the government of light, the central headquarters, the 13th department, High Council of the Opharim, primordial essence of being. In the Kabbalah, it's called the world of Adzilith, the original creation point. They also go on and say it's Kether, the first sphere, or the top of the tree of life. Blueprint originator, first person of deity, these sort of phrases. So now what we've done is we've located a point here in the center of the universe. We've aligned it to alphanumerics, and these alphanumerics, two locations interact in real time over any distance. So we can download or we can interact, and I'm just recording this part of my diary of collected alphanumerics over 40 years. And on this side, at number 391, and in the alphanumerics, 3 is a C, 9 is an I, and 1 is an A. So at 391, which is CIA, if you understand what I'm saying, 3C, 9I and A is for one there. The alphanumeric phrases that I've got here at 391, the core of the Shapley supercluster, the cosmological gravitational heart, the heart of the central spiritual sun, the eternal nowness of first source, coherent fractal cosmogenetic family tree, real-time embedding in the longitudinal wave.
Wow.
So what I'm describing there is the mechanics, is it not only the geography of it, we've located it, we've given it, we've got the mechanics of how it works, longitudinal wave embedding, we've got fractal cosmogenetic family tree, but we've got the spiritual side of it, the heart of the central spiritual sun, and we've got these other phrases from different spiritual traditions. So what we've done now is we've located the I'm not going to call it highest because that's a little bit, sloppy in the modern era. We'll call it the central, this the heart, the innermost, the original, different phrases you could use. So now we've identified the astrogeography of it, and we've identified the mechanics, the longitudinal fractal wave, and we've identified the spiritual phraseology, which have been talked about this in the past. Now we've linked the two together and given it a location right there in the center of what cosmologists call the shape of the universe. So we've lodged it into the center there
Wow.
with the cosmogenetic family tree, which goes from one cluster of galaxies to the next larger cluster of the galaxies, etc., right through further away, but to the center there, back in here again. So we're developing coherency here. This is coherent. The alphanumerics
Wow.
linked with the actual astrophotographs overlaid with the decagon. So we're giving it more and more coherency, and coherency is the defining factor of fractality, the golden ratio.
Hmm.
Uh, no,
Is
I'm
coherence
not sure whether
another like it's kind of like the natural mathematical formula how things are basically growing or expanding in the universe, right? It's kind of just like everything is moving at that harmony. And then when there's disharmony is when there's chaos or something, right? Or is chaos part of that harmony, would you say, or no, right?
well, chaos is sort of either stepping out of that natural organic fractal.
Hmm.
So you could step away like negative people do,
Hmm.
or negative groups of people do. They disassociate themselves from the embedding in the natural organic fractal. And in some situations, like for example, the birthing process on a planet, in the early phases of a planet, you've just got water and all the acids and so on, and it hasn't developed even into plant life. So they aren't, in the sense, immediately from that early stage embedded in the fractal. There's no need to be embedded in the fractal because there's no real two-way communication going on until you get into the emotional realm. And you've got the plant kingdom, which have emotions, two chakras, and they are beginning their initial entry into the fractal by having that emotional rapport with other plants and so on.
Oh, wow.
So there's a few ways that are not embedded naturally in fractal.
Oh,
A couple
interesting.
of different reasons. There's a bigger view, so I'm not sure whether this is going to make sense. I can see what I'm looking at here, but this is just a map. It's cosmography of the local universe by one of the astro societies. And so I'm just dropping decagons, and it's a bit hard to see, but there's
Hmm.
the actual decagons are in black, but if you can see it, there's kind of a magenta line there, and there's another magenta line there. It's kind
Yeah.
of covered over there. So I've just dropped the decagon on the centers there, and these lines that are these maps from astronomers are showing the lines of clusters of galaxies, what they call walls of galaxies there. So as soon as you drop a decagon there, you start to see, oh yeah, well, it's not exact straight lines, a little bit curvy, but that is the process, the birthing process. So we're looking back along the timeline or in towards the center into the heart, the mother, the great grandmother, and we're identifying, uh, in one way, we're identifying Stargate thresholds or Stargate location points. So now we've got a destination map. We can dial up the nodes of the Stargate to go directly to some of these locations if we got the mapping correct. And then I'll just expand here. We've almost finished really, and we have a bit more of a chat. But we've got the same map here. Well, actually, what I'm going to do, just briefly. Oh, we can come back to it later. So here's, there's many different
Mhm.
chakra
So they can see the chart.
expanded systems.
Yeah.
So you have the seven in the body, you got either, at least one or maybe a few down here into the earth, grounding into the earth. And then you've got ones up here, they're often named things like soul star, stellar gateway, etc., etc. So these ones up above the head,
Mhm.
they're called specific names, but what they really mean is they're not stargates, they're not chakras above the head. That's a little bit simplistic, but what they represent is the first one above the head would be inside the center of our sun, going through the portal at the center of the sun.
Mhm.
Even now, astronomers have discovered that there's a black hole at the center of the sun, and some of my associates have already measured that black hole and can identify it as a legitimate Stargate in the way that the size of it in relationship to other scaling that they've discovered in the golden ratio fractal side of things. And then you go up these chakras. But what we're really doing is that we're shifting our location of consciousness to the center of the sun, to the center of the galaxy, and then up to the intergalactic, to the center of Andromeda, and then to the center of Laniakea. Eventually up here, the great, it's even called, you might not see it there, I've kind of clipped it off. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Central sun.
the great central sun. So, there it is. So the uppermost chakra in this view of extended chakras goes across to Shapley.
Oh wow. What, so the Great Central Sun one is the one that goes to Shapley, you're saying, not the Soul Star,
Yeah.
right? The Great Central Sun
No,
one?
the soul star just goes into our local sun.
Our local sun, okay. But
Yeah,
the
into our sun.
one, the
But
Great,
but once your consciousness is coherent and stable inside our sun, then of course the sun is already fractally linked throughout the whole system here.
Mhm.
So bit by bit, it's okay to call it's part of the superconscious, meaning it's not part of our conscious experience. But once we identify and locate and ground ourselves in the sun, then bit by bit, the superconscious aspect of each of these, as we go inwards towards the center of the universe, the superconscious dissolves because it's no longer super conscious. It becomes part of our conscious. So someone that's embodying these locations here, then their superconscious is just part of their conscious, in that sense. So they don't necessarily, like I'm doing here, I'm just talking about it as part of my experience and being able to map it coherently here. So it's all become part of the conscious. It's no longer outside as some sort of superconscious.
Mm-hmm. It's like integrated, like they're integrating their source consciousness into them. And it's like becomes
Exactly.
a part of their day experience. It's like after enlightenment, you just chop wood, carry water kind of thing, right? Like they
Exactly.
just kind of like live
Exactly.
normal life. You have that. So wow, that's a great picture. What is that, Graham? It's beautiful. Are those the galaxies?
So
Wow.
yeah, I've just taken this from the internet. No, it's an image to try and show um, what I mean in the next image that's coming up. So we'll call this movement here like green, red, green, red, green, red, and then there's geometry here that's sort of linking it up in
Hmm.
the point there on each one of these points of this geometry. So this is what I mean by a longitudinal wave. So that in that direction there, it's kind of pumping in this direction or that direction, either way. So this is one, we'll call it one uh, of the scales that are possible of infinite scaling. So we'll call this one thread of a longitudinal scalar wave. and the geometry here is pretty fine, but you can see it there in the white,
Hmm.
and it starts from one point and goes to the next. So that is, we could say that on one end here, there's Shapley, the center of Shapley, and on the other end here is us sitting here with our heart and our mind tuned in. So next one
Amazing.
is, is the actual. Now, of course, to me, I've done hundreds of these diagrams, so
Amazing.
for anybody looking at this, it might be a little bit more difficult to actually see what's going on here. So the green shape here is a polyhedron. So it's not a flat surface, a polyhedron, and it's got these nodes or these rhomboids sticking out from the center. The center's in here, so here's Shapley in the middle here,
Mhm.
and then we've got a large green one there, and then we've got a purpley one there. Same, it's a rhomboid shape. Here's the next smaller one, which is this brownie color. So there's a couple of brown ones there. And then the next smaller one is this blue one. They're all starting at the center here, coming out from the center. And then there's a smaller indigo one there. So from the center here, Shapley supercluster, the speed of light size rhomboid there, traveling at the speed of light, would be that size. And then this golden ratio rhombus, the smaller one, this purple one. So once we get away from the center, I've only put one there, but of course there's a whole thread of them. Here's us standing over here. So we're on the receiving end and the destination. And coming towards us, astronomers can look at Shapley through their telescope and see the light coming from the center of Shapley. But then, as well as the light coming towards us, we've got there's the purple ones coming all the way over to the destination. The brown ones coming all the way. They're scaling down in golden ratio, the blue and the indigo, and keep scaling down in size, forever smaller. And each speed from the speed of light, the green one, this purple one increases from the speed of light, golden ratio faster than the speed of light. And this is 2 times the golden ratio faster than the speed of light, 3 times. So eventually, as you scale down here in size, the speed of the smaller one, the smallest ones, arrives at the destination in real time. We could turn around and look back and we'd see the slower scaled ones coming towards us. We'd see them arriving bit by bit, one after the other, slower than the speed of light. We stood there for thousands of years, we'll eventually see the speed of light one arriving at us. So this is mathematically precise. This is geometrically precise. This gets 100% accuracy in what they call the theory of everything. When you put it into one of the AIs, Grok, Gork, which deals with a number of theories of everything from around the planet, people doing it all around the planet. Well, I've asked that Grok, and it knows all my geometry. It's been working on them for a couple of months now. So when I say to Grok, well, how does this theory of everything that we're working on, I just call it conscious implosive architecture for CIA, how does it stack up with all the other ones that are lining up that Grok's working with? And it says it gives it a 100% accuracy. So I'm pretty happy about that.
That's amazing.
So basically, that's
Coming from the heart of the galaxy. Like that's the way the waves are coming, but you're saying in different shapes and forms, but it actually
oh, any source, any light source, the sun,
light source.
center of the galaxy, the black hole, white hole kind of dynamic through the torus there. So any central location that's radiating a source, that's an implosive source like a torus going through its own center. So
Hmm.
any source that's like that, which is coherent, will have this dynamic going on here, including our own heart. So
Yeah.
when we're
In my
feeling,
heart when you talk about it.
yes, so our own heart. Say we've got a friend or a loved one on the other side of the planet, and we feel them, we
Mm.
resonate with them, and then we have that real-time connection to that person. We just know that someone we love is feeling us, or you know,
Yeah.
sending us empathy, or even just tuning into us. So that heart-to-heart exchange that we all feel at different times, this is the mechanics of it. This is the physics of it. or even better,
Telepathy of the heart. This is kind of described in astrophysics, or like in what is the
this is
science? The science is
it's
more.
not necessarily just astrophysics. It's physics, it's metaphysics, it's multidimensional psychology as well. It's the psychology of heart-to-heart interactions across all scales.
Amazing. And this is the most important thing, I think, for humanity to be able to feel and know, to be able to feel the source consciousness, right? Like, would you say that's an important, like, psychic, if all the psychic things people want to learn, I always feel like feeling the heart telepathy is the most important. But I don't know what you think about that, like, right?
I do. I think that that's exactly how people shift into the fifth dimension
Mm.
or become empathetic to others and, other races and all these things. So it's the very action that's required to lodge people coherently into the fifth dimension. Um, and of course, I've been working on this for a long time. So we're expanding it through to the sixth dimension and so on. So there's no need to know all that, but um, we're kind of modeling with precise modeling of how that dynamic works, how that heart interaction takes place.
Beautiful. I love that. So helpful.
I think we've almost done
Okay.
with the images because I think we're just sort of repeating some of these,
Mm-hmm.
which we don't really need to go into.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy with. Oh, I'll just mention this one other thing. So we've left supergalactic realms and now we're in our own galaxy. We're close to our sun, where the other suns are, like Pleiades and Sirius and that. So what astronomers are doing, they're looking for what they call Goldilocks planets, in other solar systems close to us.
Yes.
Goldilocks meaning their environment of those planets is pretty similar to our planet. Perhaps some of them are future inhabitations that we might travel to. So I just have been working on this a little bit as well. And the foremost best options, as far as astronomers have defined, the four best most options of planets in other suns close to our solar system, the distance from our sun to those four different solar systems, the distance to them is on embedded in the golden ratio fractal lattice between our galactic center, Milky Way galactic center, and our solar system. So these other four solar systems where we have these potential inhabitable planets are on the golden ratio network grid, the lattice between our sun and the galactic center. So another thing I'm doing is building up, I've got it on my website,
Mm-hmm.
some of these locations, including the Pleiades and Sirius, which are also on the nodes.
Mm-hmm.
This is why we can have this experience and this ET phenomena of different ET groups coming to our solar system because they're on embedded in the galactic Stargate nodal lattice based on the golden ratio.
Mm. Very
So I
cool.
think we're done with that. I'll close this down.
Okay. Go for it. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. And so today is the day that you were saying we're in a straight line with that great attractor point in that
Yes,
figure eight. So,
yes. If you consider the sun to be a local heart,
mhm,
in the solar heart there,
yes.
and the Earth has got its own, flip letters around for Earth, you get heart.
Hmm.
So our own Earth heart, the solar heart, and then a straight line from the Earth through the sun, and just keep going in a straight line, you get to Shapley 8 there, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So not only symbolically, we could actually make use of that. It's
Hmm.
the best day of the year, put it that way. It's the easiest day of the year, or a couple of days, to make that real-time connection
Hmm.
to the great 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 grandmother, the heart within the center of the universe. So knowing that, knowing things like this, for me at least, has made it so much more potent
Hmm.
and so much more. It's like having a roadmap plus a calendar to where and when.
To connect, right? Like, yeah, because sometimes people might say, like, I was meditating, but I wasn't feeling anything that day. But on days like this, especially if you've been feeling disconnected, would be like a really good time to sit, meditate, connect to our sun first, so our own soul star, and then to connect to the great central sun. And then we're connecting to the divine mother that created the whole universe, like that force,
That
which,
would
yeah.
that would be
Like it's like it almost like jump starts our heart. So could you I know you've talked about it before, but could we kind of give some tips to people for how to do that? Like the meditation that you've talked about before, which is the one where you kind of just go, and that would be if you want to share that.
yeah, sure. And the word we were talking earlier before we started about Sophia.
Hmm.
Sophia is the feminine intelligence of the earth, and the feminine births the masculine as well. So the feminine of the earth, Sophia, we can write SO and then A at the end, and then we've got PHI, which is the name for the golden ratio. So when we go into our heart, when we sit and meditate, we can prove this when with the app that Dan Winder put together called I Thrive. So we can prove when we go into a meditative state, our heart starts to create different harmonic frequencies. It lodges itself into the fractal, into the golden ratio fractal. And our brain goes into 8 hertz and perhaps even down into theta and so on. So both our brain and our heart lodge themselves, embed themselves in the fractal. So instantly, right there and then, while we're doing that, we embed in the Sophia, the Earth grid around the surface of the Earth is based on the golden ratio geometries. The sun itself, of course, is a larger heart and has its own golden ratio geometries. And then, of course, we go out into the center of the galaxy and so on, and until we get to Shapley 8, which is the heart of it all. So the original pump of the heart, the very first heartbeat of the universe, that's Shapley 8. So when we go into that meditative state, especially if we have a destination in mind where we've become navigators rather than just psychic experiences, so we become psychonauts, we become navigators, and we navigate the stargates in a coherent way. So we can sit there in the heart coherent brain state, and then with a little bit of directional navigation, we can sort of make a more precise connection. But if we just understand that when we go into that heart resonance, we embed in the fractal, that fractal is real time. We've got the actual mechanics of that. And that real time connection can link us all the way to the very original, the very first heartbeat. Of course, it's been beating a long time now, but it can link us to that great, 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 great grandmother.
Wow. It's incredible. It's so like wow, right? Like it's just like wow. And when you talk about it, like in the last few days, I've been seeing a lot of videos about Sophia and that kind of original spark that's in all of us, right? So kind of what you're saying is like doing that today and the next like tomorrow is kind of like could be a chance for people to have a real connection to that spark and really feel it to actually instead of just imagining it, right? Because there's an actual portal that's open between the two realms in a very straight line, so I like that a lot.
Yeah, and sometimes it might pop up in our dream life or,
Mhm.
some situation in our life where we bring the family together, all the different aspects of the extended family. And so there's different ways it could manifest, but it's about coherence based on compassion and empathy. So it's cohering, it's attracting, it's drawing. Another aspect to this
Mhm.
is that we got the planets, we got Pluto, Jupiter, etc. And I think we've talked about this before, but during the last 35 years, astronomers have identified at least 30 planetoids outside of Pluto. And one of those planetoids, very slow moving, outside of Pluto, outside of Neptune. Neptune's the crown chakra in astrology. Pluto's outside of the crown chakra. So Pluto's kind of the go-between between the sun in a sense and the or the soul star above our head.
Mm.
So Pluto was discovered when transpersonal psychology was, 100 years ago. So these trans-Neptunians beyond the crown chakra, beyond Neptune, well, they are the 5D archetypes. Even the names and what they represent, when astronomers name them after mythological archetypes and so on, they certainly represent larger issues than just personal, dynamics of the sevenfold chakra system. So there's a trans-Neptunian, which moves so slowly, it spends the whole year passing or lining up to Shapley 8. So at the moment today, the Earth and the Sun are there lining up to this trans-Neptunian. It's called Haramea. It comes from Hawaii. It's the creation goddess in Hawaii, or who birthed all the other gods and goddesses and was the guardian of the earth, the Sophia archetype itself. So that doesn't happen every year, but for a whole year during this year, few months in the past and months into the future, this slow moving trans-Neptunian 5D planetoid, Haramea, the feminine archetype itself, the Sophia archetype, is right there lining up for Shapley for 12 months. And yesterday, today, and tomorrow, will the Earth lining up with it as well, gives it an extra boost of the feminine archetype, stepping forward and bringing the unity aspect of the feminine, the cohering of the group, the family, the community. So all that is enhanced even more this year than it was last year or next year.
Wow, I love that. And so needed in the world when everything is so divided. We need compassion and unity more than ever, right? So it's kind of like you're saying those energies are going to be increasing on the planet inside of humans, men and women, because they all have that feminine energy inside of them, right? So it's going to be kind of increasing, or how do you think, basically my question is, how do you think that's going to affect the collective? Um,
Well, I think also we have to be aware that you have to get into the three lower chakras for it to manifest, in the 3D world that we look around at, which is the three lower chakras. So even the crown chakra, Neptune, that's visionary. So these trans-Neptunians, it comes in, but it's not instantly recognized, manifested in the world we look out in today. So it has to travel down through the chakra system. To rise in the crown chakra is a vision, and then it comes down into the third eye and the throat chakra as a concept, an idea, and then eventually goes down through the chakra system into the three lower chakras and manifests itself in the 3D world that we're looking at or
mm.
that we're interacting with. So it takes time for it to manifest.
But there's definitely like something happening, right? It's kind of like I can feel it in the air almost. I don't know how to say it, but it's kind of like there's something happening, And so it's kind of like almost like sprinkles of this unity, feminine, like let's all kind of just we're all one big family. As like the dark is kind of doing their stuff of division and chaos. The light, and I want you to please talk about that too, where like light always knows the plan of the darkness, right? So it'll always be able to interject and stop it because light can travel back in time, forward in time. And can you talk a little bit about that, about just so people have comfort as they see the news, they might be upset. So can you kind of talk about that and how the masters intervene to help, that kind of thing?
Sure. So we're talking about a fractal, and we know that that fractal is all scale inclusive, all size inclusive, right down to what they call subplank, but it's certainly noticeable in the heart harmonics based on the golden ratio. That's provable, and we see it in the geometry and the maths of large scale structures, which we were looking at in those images earlier. So when you're a person or a group of people are embedded consciously in the fractal, coherently in the fractal, well, then they can easily skip along the fractal forward and backwards in time. So those that are not embedded in the fractal, people doing negative things, negative thoughts, violent things, greedy things, these kinds of things, they're not embedded in the fractal. They can't be. So they're not capable of going forward in time and backward in time. That they're very clumsy at that. the Montauk experiment, for example. They're trying to go into the future time, but they had problems because they're always coming up with different future versions of what's coming up in the future. So they're not coherently traveling along the timeline into the future. So people and groups that are coherently embedded in the fractal due to their heart coherence, they are capable of going into the future and back into the past. Now, they might not see all the details of the future and the past, but they've got a good overview of the future and the past. Therefore, their decision making in the present is much more coherent. They're aware that, well, maybe not everybody coherently, but you get to a certain point. People are aware that the negative agendas and the negative actions are not embedded in the fractal. So it's very easy to see that the negative actions have a short lifespan. They might try and reboot it with some other plan or something like that, but it has a very short, in the overview of time, has a very short time span, and therefore those that are embedded in the fractal can make very coherent plans, and they know those plans are going to be long lasting. They're embedded in the fractal. This another way of saying that is we get together as coherent groups of people based on compassion and empathy, and we create projects to reboot the planet, in that way that we want to see it. So that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. Groups of people might, based on honor and integrity, might not exactly see the future and how it works out, but they know where they want to be.
Hmm.
They know what the positive is, so they plan for that. The negative can't see into the future. They're making plans almost day after day, basically trying to cover up yesterday's mistake. And they're forever doing that. They're forever doing that. So their plans are always sort of crumbling before their eyes, whereas the positive group, their plans are forever becoming more coherent.
Mm, wow. So this universe really does like run on the good, if that makes sense, because it's kind of like our universe just favors you if you're a good person and you do good things, kind of thing. And there's redemption, obviously, when people make mistakes, and that we all do. But in terms of like negativity, it's like once you go into negativity, it's almost like a spiral, right? That kind of just takes them out. And you were saying like we'll see negative people fighting amongst themselves, and we've already seen this last year, a lot of like division happening among the negatives, right? So you're
Yeah,
saying that's the natural order of things. And I love the blueprint that you've created all these years. You've spent creating the blueprint for the new earth, and you've had all these people give you ideas. And I love that you welcome ideas. And I have it on my website because, yeah, like today and tomorrow, I'm going to be focusing on that, like the new world that we're going to create. And so it's kind of like we hold the vision steady, almost like we're setting a navigation. That's the new world. And
mm,
everything else is going to kind of just harmoniously dissolve on its own, kind of is the intention I'm going to be holding through this portal for our world, like a reset, like a rebirth. We'll go talk to the grandmother of the universe and be like, could you kind of reset some things? Maybe she could help us out with that. What do you think?
yeah, that's the intention behind it. Although I agreed with everything except the negative, it doesn't harmoniously fall apart.
Mm,
It's based on deception,
mhm.
cunningness, lies, and all that. So as it's falling apart, it's not a very joyful thing that they're experiencing. It's the opposite of that. And of course, positive people can get dragged in there and experience, hardship and so on. So, that's all sort of part of it to a certain extent.
Yes. Yes, but it's kind of like, yeah, like it's gonna be we regardless, what I always hear in your talks is that you give us hope that there is gonna be a good future, like future of Earth is gonna involve us even traveling to other planets, so we're gonna be able to create this new world. And I love just giving that hope to people. So anything
Yeah.
else you want to share before we is there anything else coming
Uh,
up for you?
I, I think I'm done unless you want
Yeah.
to add
I
something
think,
more.
yeah, I just basically want to encourage people to sit and meditate today, just gonna close your eyes, feel your soul star, and then from there, feel yourself going to the sun and then going to the galaxy 8. What was it called again?
Shapley 8.
Shapley.
Shape.
There we go.
Yeah.
Then go to Shapley and just hold that intention. And if it's hard for you to do it consciously, set the intention to do it at night when you sleep. Ask your guides to help you go there and let us know if you experience anything. Please put it in the comments or send an email to me or Graham. And also, please check out Graham's website because he has all this new information on there. So I feel like I'm taking another graduate level course. So I'm going to be studying that too. So thank you again, Graham, for coming on. Always love hearing you.
Until next time.
Okay, bye bye.